This is the flowchart guaranteed to get you laid the second you walk into a club, the second you walk into a bar. This is the template that I use personally. After a decade of me going and approaching women, of coaching this specifically, this is what I use. In this series, I'm gonna show you guys how to have an engaging conversation that attracts the woman, that never leaves you asking, what do I do next? It smoothly moves the interaction forward towards sex. If you use this, there's no reason to be nervous or anxious inside a club or bar. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right, so we're going to start this off on step one, walking through the door. Now, what are the first things you want to ask yourself? You want to ask yourself, one, is it a slow or busy venue? Now, this is going to dictate how the rest of the night goes. If it's a busy venue, you want to do quicker, faster sets. What is a set? A set is basically an interaction with a woman. The entire time you walk into the club, you want to immediately get yourself into an interaction. You want to be action feeds ego. You want to start getting yourself out there. So if it's a busy venue, the busier the venue, the quicker, the faster you can hit the sets, and the less indirect you want them to be, and the more direct you want them to be. Early on, you want to kind of peter this off. So early on, you want to do a little bit more indirect, but as the night goes on, start making it more and more direct as the night continues and as it moves forward. So early on, a little bit more indirect, but as the night goes on, more and more direct until you hit the very peak of the night, which is around 1 to 2, depending on where you live. So you want to evaluate each set based on logistics and the level of attraction you have towards the girl. How hard would it be to take her home, and how attractive do you find her? Which we'll get into that in a quick second. Now, the next part is slower venues. Slower venues. So you want to do slower sets, less direct, but you still want to be using the right kind of tone. You still want to be speaking in a masculine way. You still want to be using your pauses, giving eye contact, being cocky, being playful, but still indirect with the exact context of the interaction. So you don't want to necessarily go into saying how attractive she is, but you want to say that you're a sexual threat with the way you look at her. That's how I do slow venues. Because if you're in a slow venue versus a busy venue, you have more of a chance of poisoning the well as is. If it's a small bar, if you have a small bar and there's maybe 20 people in the bar and you're doing quick, fast sets, you're going to blow yourself out really fast. So you want to play it slower. You want to let the night marinate. You want to become more friendly, sexual with everybody. You want to be giving everybody eye contact. You want to be having fun with them, playing playful, teasing, that kind of thing. You never want to go full on direct, because the second you're full on direct, then the girl can be like, I knew it, he was hitting on me, blah, 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 blah. Instead, you want to let it marinate. Let her get to know you first. And then, because there's not a lot of pressure, she's going to be more likely to say yes. Now, you always do want to have some level of direct, obviously. You want to be more friendly. You want to make alliances. So you can also approach a lot more guys in a slow venue. Make friends. Make alliances. Talk to girls you don't find attractive and make alliances with them. Tease them. Be playful. Be all that kind of stuff. Because this is the way that you're going to attract a girl to you. Is by not being all over her. Now, if it is a busier venue, you can worry a lot less about this, and you can smack out a lot more sets and go a lot harder, as opposed to a smaller venue where you have to play it a little bit more marination style. You want to take your time with it. You don't want to be jumping onto every single interaction. Don't be thirsty in a slow venue. Instead, let it marinate. And then at the very end of the night, then find the girl you want and stick to her like Gorilla Glue, which we'll get into that in a quick second. Actually, before we even get into that, let's get into this one. This is going to be throughout. So this is your mental headspace depending on where you're at mentally. So depending on how good of a mood you're in is going to dictate how attractive girls find you. If you're in the pocket, if you're in the zone, if you're in just a fucking lit mood, you're just excited and happy to be there. You feel like everybody's your best friend. You feel witty, in command. You feel dominant. You feel like a leader of men. The girl's going to find you pretty sexy. So if that's the case, turn your brain the fuck off and you want to be more of a frat boy. Now, always, whenever I teach this, you want to be working on 1 or 2 things at every night. So maybe you're working on your dominance. Well, now you're going to work on your dominance. Maybe you want to work on your self-amusement. That's what you're going to work on. But everything else, you want to turn it the fuck off. You do not want to be overthinking the interaction. You are just there. You want to be almost meditative. The more programs you run in your head, the more likely you are to come across less attractive. The harder it will be to stay in the pocket. So you only want to be working on 1 or 2 things at a time. Otherwise, you're not practicing any one thing that effectively, and you also are ruining your state. So be like that, but then once you go home, you want to be a scientist. So you want to be a frat boy at first, but then you want to be a scientist. So When you go home, that's when you can think things through. That's when you write things down on paper. That's when you can be very in depth with it. But when you're out and about and you're in a good mood, you're a frat boy. Turn it the fuck off. You're just out there to have fun, and you're working on one or two things for that night to improve long term. Now, let's say you start off in a bad mood, or you're just in a very bleh mood. Now, for this point, you want to pan for gold. What is panning for gold? Basically, you're sifting through the dirt to look for that one little nugget of girl that likes you for you. You run to that girl, she's like just all the fuck over you. Hell yeah. You just want to keep approaching until you find that girl. And don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to find that girl. Some will, some won't. So what? Move on. Now, the goal is to get into state or pole. So as you're approaching and as you're being extroverted, you're practicing extroverted actions, eye contact, pauses, approaching, being outgoing, being loud, being open with your body language, talking to people. You can even pass by and you can give somebody a single comment. And that's good enough for you. That's going to be enough for you to get to the next stage. And then once you get popped in the zone because you're being extroverted, because you're being nice to yourself, because you're being all these things, because you're not putting too much pressure on yourself, like I know a lot of you guys do, guess what? You're going to be more likely to put yourself into a good mood and then into the frat boy scientist dichotomy, which is where you want to be. You want to be in a good mood. Now, if you fall out of this, just fall back to the basics. Fall back to the basics, pan for gold, and try to get yourself into state or to pole. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. If you love being out of state, you're never going to be out of state. So when you fall into this, do not become resistant to it. Instead, accept the mood you're in and try to be the best version of your bad mood self. When you're out of it, when you're bleh, be the best version of this version of yourself. And if you get here, awesome. If you don't, who cares? Not a big deal. All right, you don't need to be here to take a girl home. All right, but this is going to be your general dichotomy. This is going to be these two things: in a good mood, bad mood, bad mood. And you're going to be moving through these throughout the night. This is how I personally do it. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll tell myself immediately, all right, cool. Because I'm in a bad mood, I am going to approach maybe 15 girls now. That's my goal. My only goal is to approach 15 girls, and I don't care about taking any of them home. Or maybe my goal now is to, instead of worrying about approaching, is instead to maybe self-amuse. It's not about taking a girl home or having a good interaction. It's about making it fun for me. And now once I let go of the outcome of the set, now guess what? I move into a good mood. This is really good. This is really helpful and very important for a lot of you guys to learn. This is essential. So this is something that every guy that's incredible at game knows how to do. Either they're always here or they know how to get themselves out of here, which I know to get myself out of here. For you guys, you got to learn this. Figure this out. This takes a lot of practice and a lot of time. Now we move to the next section, which is set approaching. So follow our line, move it over here, and now this is where we start. We start in the approach section, approach a girl. So now, every time you approach a girl, you want to follow this trajectory. So here we go. Approach a girl. Okay, so you approach a girl. Now, do you find her sexy? Is she attractive? Let's say no. Let's say hypothetically no, she's not attractive. Well, what do? We warm up. Now, you don't want to take too long. You want to make it fast. You want to make it fun. You want to use it to make an alliance and use her as a pivot. So let's say down the line, you're by yourself and you just want to keep yourself social. You reapproach her, maybe fuck with her, you tease her, you take her around. She becomes a part of your social circle. She's now a part of your social alliance. Now, you can also use her to branch swing. You're talking to her. You can use her as pre-selection to go approach another girl. You're talking to her, see a cute girl walking by, you approach that other girl. Ups the chances of it working. Now, you can also create a social circle. I do this all the time where I'll grab a girl and another girl, or I'll grab people and I'll start building a social circle out of these people and use the social circle to approach other girls or create a party. And this is the best way to get in pocket. I've been at times almost carried out of the club because I did this in a good way. Almost, it's a very good strategy and something that I love doing. Now, if you find her sexy now, here's where things change up. Is she sexy? Yes. Is she into you or not sure? See a conversation loop, which I'll get into in the next video. But at this point, you want to see the conversation loop and see where to go from here. Now, from here, let's say it's a really bad response. A lot of you guys if you guys get really bad responses, if you guys are new at this is what you need to do. Leave. Quit sticking out these really, really bad interactions. If it's a really bad response and you're out of it or you're this or you're that, why the fuck are you going to stick around? Leave. Not a big deal. Leave. You don't need to try to figure out every set. All right. The ultimate goal is to close. It's cool that if you're doing this as some kind of mental game for yourself to teach yourself some new lesson, that's fine. But that shouldn't be your bread and butter. Try to make every girl like you. Not every girl should like you. If you're a very engaging individual, some people should honestly hate you. If you notice, most people that are engaging, that are good with girls, most guys that are good with girls are also hated in a lot of different ways. They're not loved by everybody. You should not be the kind of guy that's loved by everybody. If you do that, then you're going to fuck yourself over for those top 1 out of 10 girls, that top cream of the crop girls, that top 1% girls. They're not going to like you. Now, let's say she's amused, but not into you, or blasé. Well, then you want to fall back to this. I call it mental gymnastics. Now, at this point, it's not going to go. All right. The chances of this working out are very low. So I actually do this in my head where I trick myself. I'm like, all right, look, this is not going to work out. So I'm going to let go and instead start fucking with this interaction because I'm going to try to make her go away now by teasing and joking and being playful and fucking with her. And I'm trying to make her go away. Now, what I'm actually doing is by me doing this and teaching myself to let go, guess what happens? She starts liking me. Now, because she starts liking me, now I can move to the conversation loop. So I'm going to finish this up in the second video. I'm already over on time with this one. But if you guys do have any questions about this, let me know in the comment section below. This flowchart is very elaborate, as you guys can. This is something that I'm going to be putting out there. And I'm thinking about actually making into a free product. So if you guys want to see this free product, if you guys want me to make this into something you guys can download, let me know in the comment section below. And with that being said, peace.
Yo, bitch, I got some buzzers clawing at my fucking stomach.